TNA City, on his show, I guess it's called Hey EW, there's an episode where he interviewed Skye Blue, who we've talked about on the show. We've never heard her do a promo, but we've seen her in the ring, we've seen her matches. Did you watch this?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It was like watching Robin Williams as Mork from Ork interviewing a cabbage.
Now, let me just state, Jim Cornette has his shtick. He has his gimmick. He is of the belief that if you're the shits, you should just kill yourself. But that's Jim. You know, I like Jim. For those of you that hate Jim, you got to know Jim and to know that where this stuff comes from is his incredible love for professional wrestling. Now, the indies just make me insane if I pay attention to them. But I'm in a great place right now where I don't happen upon much indie crap. Skye Blue came to me a year before she actually started training with her mother when she was a senior in high school to check out my training facility to see if it was all that. And people like to call me out today on my claims. The first thing I told her in front of her mother was this: if you want to be taken seriously in the wrestling industry, you don't sleep with these guys. Now, I'm not trying to cause Skye Blue harm, and quite honestly, nobody could cause Skye Blue more harm than Skye Blue doing this RJ City's interview, and Jim Cornette, exploited it. I wouldn't be surprised if Jim Cornette's review is damn close with as far as the views go on RJ City's interview. Okay? Let's go ahead and see what else we got here.
What?
By the way, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I just have to kind of be an asshole or half an asshole because whoever made that fucking cabbage, and this art is blatantly stolen from the official Jim Cornette YouTube channel, because that's what happened. Is I was thumbing through my playlist because I work out at home, and I saw Jim holding that cabbage. I said, son of a bitch, that looks like Skye Blue, before I even saw the title. So whoever drew that is a effing genius.
And first off, let me say that RJ City has no business whatsoever being anywhere near a fucking wrestling television program. I will say that. Because the business is silly enough, and this guy is fucking hilarious.
Now, let's just talk about that for a second. You guys today with this independent wrestling community, God bless you. You know, we appreciate your interest, but you don't move the needle one way or the other, you know, as far as ratings go or as far as money generation goes. When I was at TNA Wrestling in 06, 07, when the internet wrestling community was on its downfall, at best, we could count on drawing a .07 ratings if only the independent wrestling community would have watched the program, which they did only because it was another alternative on television. The point I'm trying to make is, I'm not being an a-hole, but you can't be loved by the internet wrestling community. And if you rely on the internet wrestling community to make money or believe that you're over, you got problems. And that's Skye Blue's issue right there. And also I want to say, unfortunate thing about the internet wrestling community and the power that it does have doesn't come from the fans and the haters. It comes from the fact that the boys and some of the decision makers are aware of what's going on in the internet wrestling community, because some people for World Wrestling Entertainment and other companies internationally, it's kind of their job to keep a pulse on who's out there.
But not for a wrestling show. He should have been the guy that took over the Daily Show from Jon Stewart.
Wow.
Instead of that fucking, whoever the fucking guy was that did, I haven't watched it since.
Trevor Noah, but he's left now.
Well, thank goodness. He wore out his welcome his first day. But no, put him on the network show at 11:30 at night. He's a fucking hilarious motherfucker. I'm just saying, the modern wrestling shows are already too silly. And I don't know exactly how you would put his talents to work in a real wrestling program.
And not just that, but the guy is funny. The sad thing is, and I think another part of what Jim's saying or trying to say here might be escaping him, is the fact that this guy is so sharp, he kills off talent. He's got the potential to, and that's exactly what happened. Any credibility that Skye Blue has past the internet wrestling fans and the only fans and you perverts that watch chick wrestling for your sick purposes instead of purposes that equal money. Pardon me. This RJ City guy, or this interview, just did not help Skye in advancing in the wrestling industry. It did the exact opposite, of her ever making a real living outside of a few dollars a month from OnlyFans and a few dollars a month from AEW.
But this was the most amazing verbal evisceration of this. Skye Blue is completely vacant of any...
Completely vacant. Now, you could say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a crabby old timer. I'm a crabby old guy that used to do jobs. You weren't at the territories. You weren't in Dallas or Nashville. You don't know my background, and obviously you don't give a shit. But the point I'm trying to make is, let's let the facts speak. Skye Blue has been on AEW TV, and let's be more than fair and say Skye Blue's been on AEW's programming and its affiliates programming for 2 years. Probably longer, but let's say 2 years. How come my YouTube channel has more views than her AEW matches on YouTube? Skye Blue on my YouTube channel, when she was green, somewhat humble, and would listen, has over 20 million views and counting.
Personality or any conversational ability whatsoever, and everything that he said, she didn't even understand the words he was using, much less the context they were in, and the stuff was so quick, and it was going over her head, and he was trying to make, I don't know, I've never met the girl, so he has, because he works there. Were they ribbing her that she's just such a...
This is what I'm talking about. Even you smartest of smart marks and Skye Blue quote-unquote supporters, and I'm going to go ahead and say / sympathizers at this point. She doesn't... I told her and several others, if you want to make it in the wrestling industry today, and Skye does have attributes, but the girl doesn't listen. She believes her own hype, and wrestling is too fucking fun for her to be looked at as a business. She might even be oblivious to the fact that she killed herself off. But the point I'm trying to make is if you're going to make a living in wrestling, just like make a living in any sports, or really any decent paying job equivalent to what you could make in professional wrestling if you're at your best, you have to be emotionally mature. And that has nothing to do with age, okay? I'm not hating on Skye, but I told her years ago, the girl has night terrors, okay? I have them too, because I've got horrible and debilitating PTSD and depression. You gotta go get help. It's not a weakness to get help. Therefore, all she watches is WWE wrestling programs, occasional YouTube stuff, but she doesn't watch anything because everything makes her so sensitive that she has nightmares to it. As a result of that, you have no idea what's going on. And it's on AEW for putting her in that situation because they just killed her off. Mark my words, 12 months from now, if she lasts that long, she'll be gone from AEW.
A mud fence that she can't say anything. She has nothing to add. She's not in any way wanting to be a performer. They alluded to her being scared or nervous about promos, but then he just ripped her apart in a nice, funny
Well,
way.
yeah, for the people who haven't seen this, he's not there cutting a promo on her or anything. That's not what he's doing.
No,
He's
it's-
interviewing her.
Well, but he's so good, and he's so quick, and he's so fast, and she's got absolutely nothing to fucking say.
And she has nothing to say. She has no pulse on what's going on with pop culture. She has no pulse on what's going on really in the wrestling industry. At some point, you have to say this is a business, and I love wrestling at 35 years or 6 years or whatever the hell it is, but wrestling's been a business for me since the first year or before. It's a business. And this indie is a style. Indie is not a style. That's a rationalization for the fact that it's not being done right, but it's okay for people who are not doing it right. And you can't, again, AEW, that's the difference between AEW or Tony Khan and World Wrestling Entertainment. They don't send their talent off to a guy like this. Go ahead and look at the record. Howard Stern at one point had 30 million listeners every day, okay? They rarely would put their talent on the Stern Show, unsupervised, unscripted, or when they did, if the talent was under contract for them, they put him on the Howard Stern Show, heavily scripted, and was told to Howard and his team, you don't go there and make our talent look like shit. Now, go back and look at the people that went to the Howard Stern Show after their time at WWE. And that's the type of thing that I think RJ City is, man. Someone who's sharp could flip that and use RJ City or whatever the hell to help elevate their career. This crushed Skye Blue's career for the immediate future. I will go ahead, before this is over, I'm done with Skye Blue, as Skye Blue's original trainer, because he's indie. It's like Chicago-style wrestling, and even AEW like to claim that. I gave her basics, and you can go and watch the matches on my YouTube channel from 3 years ago or 4 years ago, maybe 5. I don't know. Time flies when you're an old fart. But you can see she hasn't progressed a pubic hair in her ring performance since. And I'm not hating on her. I am frustrated with the waste of talent, okay? Let's go on a little bit more. I don't have all day for this, so that's why we're going to do more than one part.
That is the most amazing, complete polar opposite of an interview I'd ever seen. And it's like when she did start speaking, you were mentally begging her to stop so you could hear more RJ City. Because what she had a story where in church she got kicked out of church for setting another kid on fire, and he had to tell the story. Because obviously they'd gone over it in pre-production. He knew the story because she wouldn't tell. It was her story, and he had to tell her the story.
You have to learn to speak in this industry. At the end of the day, I don't care what your style is in pro wrestling, what your moveset is. You have to be a compelling storyteller. Skye Blue has not developed that, and she hasn't done anything to develop that. She is perfectly satisfied with the positive comments on her social media and the flirtation that happens with the other idiots. And the other idiots, it's really not a compliment, because the other idiots are just, oh, there's chicks in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? She can't do that. She hasn't developed that. You've got to test yourself. And you've got to realize the fact that it's an industry. You can't not talk today. You know? You've got to be able to have something. And it saddens me that however many years she's been in the industry now, again, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. Okay, let's say 3 to 5 years. She hasn't developed this one pubic hair, okay? I did this amazing storyline that lasted for 18 months, maybe 2 years, with nothing or next to nothing. I had 2 trainees, a guy named Connor Core, who was very effeminate. I thought he was gay, okay? And I'm not saying that as a burn, but there's a lot of locker room humor in wrestling, and I can't help myself with this sophomoric humor. I'm going to be buried with it. It'll be on my tombstone, okay? So as a preemptive strike, I went up to him and told him, hey, man, we accept you, no matter what. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it's okay if you're gay. Don't take offense. I'm not gay. Do you see what I'm saying? He was the first guy to realize it's very common today for males, younger males, to be effeminate and not be gay. And this has nothing to do with them or they or any of that stuff. But I found that out. He was not an athlete, but he's an entertainer. So I put him and Skye Blue together with this equal fights for equal rights shit as Connor is the heel and then Connor managing masked heels with Skye Blue. And we got to 20 million and counting views from this stuff. I knew Skye couldn't cut a promo. Go ahead and see how I did it for her, not exposing the fact that all she watches is Scooby-Doo and pro wrestling because of her tremendous fear of watching anything else that may give her night tremors, which could be so simply worked out with a little therapy. I'm not bashing anybody for getting therapy. I've gotten therapy for over half my life. I currently have a shrink and a therapist because of my issues. And it makes me a more well-rounded, positive, useful person. Now we'll do one more few parts of this and we'll get to half of Jim's review and then we'll do part 2 with the rest later.
In a way that made it sound like that she was telling it, but she wasn't telling it.
Now that I've heard that church thing before and she tries to tell it, but if it's true or not, she killed off her own credibility because the way she tells it is it sounds like she's blowing smoke up your ass trying to make you think she's a bad girl. So it's hard to tell, and that's how she is. That's how she is. So the wrestling fan will see through that. You idiots that, she gets a pass because she's got a big ass. Those are the things I did not want for her in wrestling. I wanted her to be known for more than just that as an asset. That adds to the marketability, but the work and the wherewithal and the storytelling comes first.
The last few lines were some of the funniest lines. They were so simple, but she's reading this with no passion.
No, it wasn't she wasn't reading it with no passion. She was reading it like she was in a remedial reading course in school, and this was the first time she'd seen English words written on paper.
Okay, so now we are literally halfway through. I'm going to come back and I'll come back and do part 2. But in what world, and if she is in fact under contract with AEW, which she is, it's also up to AEW to cover in said contract what she does press-wise. If Tony Khan and any decision maker at AEW sicked RJ City with that wit on Skye Blue, they should have been fired a long time before this happened. Trust me when I tell you, you may think it's good for the yucks, but at the end of the day, this is not doing Skye Blue's career any favor. Now, once again, I'm going to reiterate. I stole the cabbage directly from Jim Cornette, the official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. I'm going to absolve myself by posting the link to subscribe to his YouTube channel. And I think when Jim finds out it was me that took it, he wouldn't be that upset anyway, because we were, in fact, friends when we both worked at TNA. But I'm also going to say I'm not intending to harm Skye Blue. Before I wrap this thing up with part 2, I'm going to explain how you can turn something like this into a positive. And really, there's compelling storytelling in our industry in the first place. I think Dutch Mantel did not steal the phrase, but Dutch Mantel turned me on to the statement, I'm making chicken salad out of chicken shit, and now I just got to get people to eat it. And that's what Skye Blue can do with this if she ever smartens up and makes, and takes some of the suggestions that I gave her, All right, while you're here, like and subscribe. Go ahead. If you want to fight, hit me up in the comments, But I'm going to go ahead and say again, go on back and look at all the Skye Blue videos on my YouTube channel. I guess we've got more that we're going to start sharing, not just of Skye's, but other talent that was with us with my thumbprint on them from our subscriptions, which are Patreon and Pivot Share. Go ahead and peruse how to support Premier Pro Wrestling in the links below. We are streaming wrestling live on Rumble every Friday night, in addition to our Saturday night tapings if you're within earshot of Southeast Wisconsin or in Chicagoland. Also, once again, our big monthly tapings are available on Patreon too. And check out Premier Pro Wrestling on Pro Wrestling Tees. We've got some cool shirts for the brand. We've got some cool shirts for our young talent. And again, I promise you I will be coming back with at least part 2 of this. And it is kind of a big deal. I am not angry at Skye Blue, even though she's buried me and talked a lot of shit and made up a lot of lies. I'm not happy about that. But I'm an old man with 3 daughters, once again, and I do not wish her anything but success. I hope success comes for her. But I'm telling you, headed this direction, she's going to be nothing but a broke goof. And it's a waste of talent. Waste of talent is what drives me nuts. All right, guys, talk soon.